Today we have an interesting subject. We will be delving into the seventh area of people activity, religion. We're going to be asking Mr. Fuller what it is and how it works and how our mind has been trained. I've been all over Facebook explaining as much as I could how Mr. Fuller is going to talk about it and explode into the areas of religion and not necessarily what you think or what we've been taught, primarily the church. I'm going to have Mr. Fuller speak about the religion of economics, the religion of education, the religion of entertainment, and so forth, all in the 9 areas. So open up your minds for that as we have Mr. Fuller explain it. And he is on the line live from Washington, D.C., as usual. You can pick up this program by, you can go to the YouTube channel, just type in the word Talktainment, then Talktainment number 2, then scroll down to radio, and you can actually see and hear at least me. I don't know why you would want to do that, but you can do that. Really. You can also go to the talktainmentradio.com homepage and just hit program, and you're there. Or, listen live, and you're there. You can go to the, let's see, what is that? Oh, you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com, and I'll do that. You can also, let's see, you can go to Facebook, facebook.com/Talktainment, and you're there. And you can also do this. You can call at 877-932-9766, and you can get on there. There's been a lot of stuff going on this morning. The usual suspects are in play. Those who are familiar with the show know exactly what I mean, so we are getting off the ground. Hopefully I'll have an update on the donations during the 2 hours broadcast today. I want to say this, Daryl, who wrote me this morning, I asked Ed about the Facebook, or rather about the YouTube situation, particularly your second part of your question. I don't know what's going on as far as the editing is concerned or why it's not there, but whatever it is, if it's a problem, then I know that they'll try to work that out. Thank you, sir. Okay. Hey, we're good. Donations, we're down to $650. Okay, that's all we need. Thank you. That's all we need, $650 on that. Okay, I think that's all the housework out of the way. Let's do this. Let me present to some and introduce to others Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. He is live from Washington, D.C. Fuller has no idea of what we're going to discuss today, and that's just the way we like it. But let me introduce to some and present to others Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. Mr. Fuller, as usual, good morning, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm still learning.
Okay. You're coming in very loud, very clear, and that's good. Okay. In my discussions this week with the groups that I am involved in, this came up, the subject of religion, and I noticed that when that word first came out of people's mouth, it had something to do with the church, and in our colonized mind, that is the way that we've been taught. But when I started to read and began, and I'm still learning to understand the code book or the code, it became apparent that a definition of religion needed to be explained, and you did that in your book. But for those who are now listening or coming in contact with the show, and many are, Mr. Fuller, many people are into this, or coming into the knowledge of the compensatory concept with you and your book. Can you explain what religion is and how it works?
Well, on page 334 of the Word Guide, Compensatory Counter-Racist Word Guide, the word religion and or religious person is there. On page 334,
yes.
It continues into page 335. It says use the terms, all right? You can use the terms religion or religious person, but use the word religion to apply to the sum total of all things that a person chooses to do or say. In other words, anything that you choose to do or say, that's without anybody around and whatnot, but these are things that you choose to do, something that you choose to do, or something that you choose to say, or you try to do or say according to your will. In other words, the will that is given to you. Everybody has a will. At all times, in all places, in all areas of activity. And that includes economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion in general, that is, since there are so many different religions, sex, and war, counter-war. What you choose to do or say in all of those areas of activity. I mean, when you have a choice, I'm not talking about when someone forces you to do something, but when you have a choice. So basically, a religion is basically, and I like to say it this way, a strong belief backed up your religion, whatever you choose to do, without anybody looking over your shoulder or anything. Mm-hmm. These are choices that you make. Whatever you are doing at the time that you are doing it, and you did it by your own choice, something that you wanted to do. If you snorted cocaine, that's your religion. Why? It's something you choose to do. It's something you want to do. Mm-hmm. You're doing it. Nobody's around you. Nobody's making you do it, but you're choosing to do it. You believe that that's what you should do. That's why you're doing it. So whatever you're doing at the time that you're doing it, that is your religion. I don't care when somebody asks you later on, well, what is your religion? You say, oh, I'm a Buddhist. Well, are you a Buddhist when you're snorting cocaine? Because that's what you choose to do, because that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Your religion doesn't go outside of what you choose to do. So you can just enumerate all the things that you do, and you'll say, when you put all those things together, add them up, draw a line under it, and add them up, and come up with the sum total, everything that you have listed is a part of your religion. Mm-hmm. According to what? Neely Fuller? No. According to logic.
Logic, yes.
According to logic. That has to be your religion. Okay. A strong belief backed up by action.
All right. How did we get to religion being a religious connotation? Were we taught this or ingrained in us that it had something to do with the heavenlies? How did we get it there? When somebody says religion, the mind, and I'm trying to train my mind not to go there, but immediately goes to something of the Holy of Holies. How did that happen, in your opinion?
It happens by people teaching you, just like most things happen. We're having a conversation right now. Most of the things that I say is a result of things I'll say all the things that I say are as a result of my environment, the words that I'm using. I'm speaking something called the English language. Am I an English person? No. I mean, wherever you're raised up, there are people who have what you call, since we're talking about religion, tribal religions. And if I start talking about religion to them, people might look at each other in some place, somewhere on some island overseas, where it's just maybe 800 people on an island, and I will say religion, and they will, in their own language, say something about customs. Mm-hmm. But it will be what most people would call their religion. They will have little ceremonies and whatnot that people never even saw before. They might put some rocks into a fire and whatnot.
Yes.
That's a part of their religion. And see to it that those rocks, turn what you might call white hot. and and give off a certain type of smoke, and they will walk in a circle around it, and they will say, well, we are communing with the gods. And you'll say, I don't know what you all are doing, because I can't relate to none of this at all. But they will say that don't come anywhere close to this circle where we got these rocks, or you're violating our religion. Why? Because you're a stranger, and strangers are not supposed to come close to this. You're showing disrespect for our religion. And our religion calls for us to persecute you if you do that. And you'll say, that sounds like a bunch of foolishness to me. But this is how, they have been doing it for 1,000 years or more, 2,000 or 3,000, and they don't know anything else. So in answer to the question, it comes down to, what is your religion? And what does your religion require you to do? Because that's all it is. Religions have requirements.
Okay.
So people get into all kinds of fights all over the world about what religion requires them to do.
Okay.
As we speak right now, people are killing each other about the word religion. Mm-hmm. That's not according to our religion. We don't do that. You're going to be chastised. All right.
Okay. Before I take an email, would it be safe to say, this is for clarity, that religion is who you are? I'm just asking because I'm still learning myself.
A person is asking that question?
Yeah. Could it be that religion is who you are?
Who you are when you do what?
Whatever you're going to do.
Okay, well, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
Religion is what you do based on that's what you want to do.
Okay.
You believe in doing. Whatever you believe in doing, whatever you're doing at the very moment that you're doing it, and you believe in doing it, and that's what you want to do, you want to curse somebody out, that's a part of your religion.
Okay.
Why? Because you're doing it.
Because
and that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is for Gmail from Daryl. He says, Mr. Fuller, you've talked in the past on this show and in your book about how we as black folk should deal with racism on the job. But if you can speak more about this, because there are many in our community right now as we speak who believe they can show up late, show up dressed however they want, and say whatever they want and to whoever on that job and still be able to keep it. And if fired for doing their own thing and on that boss's dime, go out in protest about it publicly like, quote, I know my rights, end of quote, with thousands of us getting behind them in support. Fact is, if more of us understood the system of white supremacy, what it is and how it works, you'd expect to be whiteballed or lied to. You don't show up in a dashiki with red, black, and green wristbands on a Kunta Kinte T-shirt as a response and then expect to get your gig back when you know the boss who messed you over is a white supremacist who will use your outspokenness against you. So can you, Mr. Fuller, speak to this once again and emphasize to the listeners how best to respond in situations like this as opposed to always being in protest mode? Daryl.
We're prisoners of war. So if you want to, as a prisoner of war, go and tell the people who are running the prison that you are in. If you're a black person and you're on this planet, you are already a prisoner of war. That's who you are. You're going to be treated like a prisoner of war if you haven't found that out already. So if you don't know that, you will just find it out. That's all. Because prisons have masters. And the prison masters are hostile to the prisoners. Hostility is built into that prison system. So if you get in the prison master's face, the prison master has assigned you to do a task, and you say you are not going to do it, or you know your rights as a prisoner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The prison master will simply say, "Oh, okay. I say you don't have any. You say you have them, but I'm your master. Now, if you are my master, prove it." See, it just comes down to proof. Are you going to be the master over the person whom you came and begged for a job, or asked for a job? Are you his or her master, or do they have mastery over you? Can they do you more harm than you can do to them? Bottom line, we're talking about power here. And coming in, like the caller said, or whomever sent in the email, if the person that you asked for a job and it said, "Okay, when you come in here, don't come in here with all those T-shirts on talking about black power and all that, because my customers, when they come in, they walk back out the door when they see that type of confrontation. It's not good for my business. Mm-hmm. So don't come in here with that black power T-shirt on." Well, I got freedom of speech, and I wear it. Well, okay, you got freedom of speech. You do have that. You can say what you want to, and if you wear your T-shirt, that is a form of speech. But my customers walk back out the door and don't come back. And I have to have customers in order to have a business and in order to be able to pay you a salary. So now, if you run my customers off with your black power T-shirt, then my business suffers, and then I lose money, and I can no longer pay you. Now, do you want to get paid? That's the bottom line. Or would you rather walk around on the streets all day with a black power T-shirt and not have any money? Now, make up your mind. Because that's all it is. That's the way it works. Mm-hmm. And you say, "Well, that ain't right." Well, welcome to the real world. Black people, more than anybody, is always talking about the real world. The real world is, you if you have a black skin, it is true, you're nobody. You can tell people you're somebody. You can tell people you're King Jesus. But to the white supremacists who are running all of your business, if you're black on this planet, and they're running all of your business, even if you think you got a little drug business that doesn't have anything to do with white supremacy, you are making a huge mistake, because you are their prisoner of war, whether you realize it or not, 24/7 every day and night that you are on this planet called Earth, if you're classified as black. That's the truth. You are completely helpless in the face of their power. And if you think you're not, you're going to join all the black people who join every day that long line of people who wind up real dead real quick. And as we speak now, some black person is showing his muscles to the great, awesome system of white supremacy. You can't tell me what to do. Yes, they can, and they do. And you don't know anybody who can come to your rescue. Your T-shirt, your dreadlocks, your sagging pants, the whole 9 yards won't get you anywhere when you go up against the white supremacists. Mm-hmm. That's been proven over and over and over and over again. Now, you can argue with Neely Fuller and say, you talking that jive, I mean, I know what I can do, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, just keep doing it. Don't argue with Fuller. He's nobody. He's a fellow prisoner. I'm just a fellow prisoner sitting in the cell with you. You go out there and get in the warden's face. I know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I already know what's going to happen. Now, if you think that's not going to happen, try it. If you haven't done it before. But a lot of us, we spend our entire existence, and I can understand it. Black males particularly, we want to be men. But we can't be men in the system of white supremacy. It's impossible. It can't be done. You got to get rid of the entire system in order to qualify to that thing called man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's the truth.
Mm-hmm. Just like that song, "Just Keep It Up and See What Happens."
Well, yeah, I haven't heard the song. But,
oh, yeah.
But see, you don't have to take anybody's word for it. I mean, you take on the power of the white supremacists. Now, you can get away with that stuff among other black people.
Mm-hmm.
You can get in black people's face all day long. The white supremacists like that.
They don't care.
Oh, yeah, they don't care. I mean, y'all kill each other. You can kill your mother. They don't care. Hey, hooray. More power to you. All right? That's what we want you to do, because we were intending to kill her anyway. All right? So go right ahead. Kill your mother. Kill your sister. Kill your brother. Kill the fella, the other black guy that passes you on the street and bumps up against you, and he looks just like you and is dressed just like you. He's got a black power shirt on, too. But y'all going to kill each other, okay? Oh, yeah, the white supremacists love that.
Yeah.
So, and that happens all the time. Yeah, you walk around talking about how black you are, but you're the first person to get in another black person's face and want to do them harm, okay? I mean, you got all how many black people wear dreadlocks who are now getting their picture taken right now for killing black people, robbing black people, breaking in black people's houses. But they're wearing dreads. If you're wearing dreads, you don't do no harm to black people, period. That's what that's supposed to have meant. But see, it's just another style.
Yes, sir.
To attract attention, and then when you get the attention, what are you going to do with it?
Wow. TalkTainmentRadio.com is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Now, here's a few that I'm going to share with you. The Quay Morgan Hill Show, Talking Sports Plus with Mr. Bobby, and This is Libby. Now, all these shows are exclusive to TalkTainmentRadio.com. All you have to do, as I say every week, is go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage, and you will find a list of the current programming, and if we have any new ones, they're there also. You can check those out, which is called sampling. Check it out and see if you like it. You don't have to, but if you want an honest opinion of it, you need to check it out, research it, and see if you like it or not. All that from TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host of The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. And yes, the usual suspects and those who have been with the show understand exactly what's happening. But they are big time in play today, but that's okay. Speaking about that, next Wednesday, the 27th, I believe, will be a rebroadcast of a previous show. I have no idea what that show will be, but you will still hear Mr. Fuller's voice and my voice discussing the previous show. So we're not going to be here. Your Talktainment Radio is not going to be a live show, but the following week we plan to be back on. 1-877-932-9766 is the number, or the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. And going there, it says this comes from Mr. Person. He says, "Good morning, Mr. Fuller. I'm still learning. I have purchased your book and have been studying your interviews on Talktainment for the last few months. In the given climate of what is occurring right now, I believe that black people need a codified guide on the subject and domains of information technology, because information tech is specifically based on codes. So I am 90% done with the guide I wrote that develops codes and constructive concepts that black people can use to assist them in solving problems at work and acquiring wealth. I used some of the codes before I knew what it was a year ago. The guide is based on receipts, concepts, and asking questions on how to deal and break the system of racism, white supremacy. Mr. Fuller, do you think this is a constructive attempt, or what is your advice on this concept?
Well, my advice on the concept is that everything should be codified. Codified just means you do what works. You don't do what doesn't work. That's it. And that covers a lot of the things we have started off with this morning, starting with religion, and then we went to that to how to act on the job when you went in there and asked for a job and whatnot. You do what works. You don't do anything that doesn't work. I mean, that's what they call common sense. I mean, even before you come up with anything like a code, it's common sense. A rabbit does what works.
Okay, hold it right there,
Mr. Does what works.
Hold it right there, Mr. Fuller. We'll get back to that. Okay, Mr. Fuller, I'm gonna go back to that question that DA wrote so that we can get a clear answer to that, because I had to go to commercial. He said, in the given climate of what is occurring right now, Mr. Fuller, I believe that black people need a codified guide on the subject and domains of information technology, because information technology is specifically based on codes. So I'm 90% done with a guide I wrote that develops codes and constructive concepts that black people can use to assist them in solving problems at work and acquiring wealth. I used some of the code before I even knew what it was a year ago. The guide is based on receipts, concepts, and asking questions on how to deal and break the system of racism, white supremacy. Mr. Fuller, do you think this is a constructive attempt, and what is your advice on the concept? And you were in the process of answering that.
Well, my whole work is based on problem solving. So those are the two words. Or you can add another word, constructive.
Yes. Constructive
problem solving. That should be what every black person or every white person on the planet, constructive problem solving. Constructive problem solving. Each and every minute of each and every day. That should be what people should be about. Underline the word constructive problem solving. That is code. You can use whatever kind of language you want, but it comes down to those three words. Everybody should have that in their mind when they get up in the morning and go to bed at night. Am I a person who is about solving problems in the most constructive manner that can be done by anybody anywhere? Am I one of those people? Because if you're not one of those people, that's the type of person you should be trying to be, regardless of where you are on the planet. Neely Fuller included. When he gets up in the morning, he should have in mind, in one or more areas of activity, or in all areas of activity,
yes,
am I about doing everything and saying everything in a manner that will get the most constructive result?
Mm-hmm.
Now, everybody on the planet, everybody who definitely considers themselves as being black and are non-white in a white supremacist system, just think about, focus on. Stop making things so complicated. focus on, am I about solving problems in the most constructive manner? That the way that I am intending to go about solving this problem better than anything that anybody has ever done before. That should be your goal.
Okay.
Constructive problem solving. In answer to the question, yes, anything that is going to solve a problem in a constructive manner. You don't have to dress it up with a whole lot of fancy language. Just ask that bottom line question. This thing that I'm proposing, is it going to solve a problem in the most constructive manner that can be done by anybody anywhere?
Okay.
That should be your goal.
All right. All right, D.A., Mr. Fuller addressed that. Let's go to this one. Daryl with RROL. He says, Mr. Fuller, I've seen it as proof that I'm a prisoner of war, been from Jamaica, and living in the USA. Both experiencing these two countries, I've realized that racism is refined, and I realize at work, white people always codify themselves around me by limiting what to talk about around me. My question to you, Mr. Fuller, is, do you think that if the signs were still up, sundown towns and lynching, we as black people would have to codify ourselves and get a lot more done?
Yes. See, the more you are aware of the system of white supremacy, and that's why I put these things in the front of the book, if you don't understand white supremacy, which is racism, that's the only type of racism there really is. That's the root. If you don't understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will confuse you. That's an absolute. In the beginning of both of my books, I put it in, took up a whole page with just that quote. And they're among the pages in the front of the book. When you turn the pages, in my first edition, the 1984 edition, I had it in small print on one of the facing pages. Okay, so it might have been missed. But I took up a whole page just to put those words in there in the Word Guide and the Revised Expanded Edition of the textbooks for victims of white supremacy. If you don't understand white supremacy, racism, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you understand will confuse you. You are going to be a confused black person if you don't understand white supremacy. And that's in any area that you're in. If you're in the area of economics, which we all are, we're in all these areas.
Yes.
All right. But if you want to put a label on them, education. If you're confused about white supremacy and you're a teacher or a student, you're in the field of education, but you don't understand white supremacy, you're going to be confused about everything that you're teaching. And if you're a student, you're going to be confused about everything that you're learning. If you're a person of color, in order to make sense of this entire world, you should be in the business of, first of all, understanding the system of white supremacy, what it is and how it works in every area of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Because to the extent that you are not understanding of how these things work in the system of white supremacy, which is the only government on the planet, by the way.
Yes, sir.
you are going to be confused. That's a guarantee.
That's a given.
It doesn't make any difference where you are on the planet, or who you know, or how long you've been on the planet. A lot of people say, well, consult the elders and all like that. You can't go by how long a person has been here. I've been here quite a while, all right? And I don't understand how the system of white supremacy works, for the most part. If I did, we wouldn't be having this conversation today, because there wouldn't be no such thing as that.
Yes, sir.
All right? So there is no one who has a complete understanding of what the white supremacists do. They are the strangest people on the planet to a victim of white supremacy. And proof of it is the victims are always trying to catch up, trying to find out what's going on. That's why, like Dr. Frances Cress Welsing used to say in all of her speeches, she used to say, black people got that habit of going around saying, hey, man, what's happening? All right? It's because we are the people, more than anybody, who got no idea of what's
happening. Yeah.
All right? And that is true.
That's true.
And that holds true each and every day. We are asking the correct question because we think, including black people who go around, and we are the greatest pretenders in the world. We pretend that we know everything about what's going on. How the white supremacists operate, you know, how their corporate structure operates. We know all about that. Homeboy knows all about that. Well, he got that down pat. Yeah, he knows how Wall Street works. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, with his super ghetto knowledge.
Marvin Gaye asked that question, what's going on? Let's see here. Let's do this. D.A. Pearson. I need to say this to you. Mr. Fuller, first of all, he said thank you. He said he's trying to find a live podcast, and he called the number. D.A., the line is open because after Mr. Fuller speaks about his book, we're going to go to the phone lines. But you can call if you want to, D.A. Then the number is 1-877-932-9766. Let me say that slowly. 877-932-9766, and we will get you on. Now, TalkToHim@radio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkToHim@radio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby. I am the co-host of the Compensatory Concept here on TalkToHim@radio.com. Our subject is religion, and we're actually discussing, Mr. Fuller is discussing religion right now as we speak. But it is at this time that we have Mr. Fuller speak about his book, and according to the Gmails I'm getting, Mr. Fuller, many are trying to get your book, many have gotten your book, and it is going down even into South Africa, and also the concept called, what is it, French Guiana or whatever it is, but it's beginning to spread. But anyway, this is your time to speak about your book. Go ahead, please, sir.
Well, you can get the book by going to producejustice.com. And I always tell people, sometimes when people get in touch with me or they talk to me and they baffled by certain things and all like that. And I said, well, do you have the book? And they say, well, no, we don't. So I basically try to tell people, go to the book first, and then start asking questions, and we can be on the same page somewhat, because the way I wrote the book is kind of different from the way a lot of books are written. I use words, that's why I have a word guide, in a different way.
Yes, sir.
Like I say on this program over and over again, and that is not caught on yet. In all the years I've been doing it, people will say, after I have pointed it out, because I've told them to try it, just to try it and see how it goes. Don't say anything against America. I try to get people to do that. Why? Because when you do, you are doing nothing but putting something in your way that you don't have to put in your way. You don't speak out against America. You don't even think that way. I mean, your thoughts shouldn't be anti-American. Why? Because Americans are wonderful people. They are the type of people that people ought to be. That's who they are. Americans are people the way that people should be. But here's what you always keep in mind when you use that term. They don't exist. There are no such people as Americans. They don't exist. That's a concept. And I just want to keep saying that. I mean, you know, while I'm talking about my book here, I mean, just that word America. Americans are people who practice justice. Nobody practices justice. Nowhere on this planet. Nowhere. Justice means guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. Now, that doesn't happen anywhere on this planet any time of day or night. Somebody's being mistreated every minute of every day, and somebody's not getting the help that they need, a whole lot of somebody's, all right? So Americans don't exist. You try to bring America into existence. That's what every black person should want, for America, Africa, and Asia to finally come into existence, because all three of these categories of people, according to what I write, that's why I say I write differently, and I can prove what I'm saying. And most white people, if you talk to them long enough, who are legislators and all like that, they would have to agree. Why? Because that's the truth. They will tell you America is evolving. Well, if anything that's evolving means it hasn't arrived where it should be. See?
Yes, sir.
Most political people will say that if you talk to them in depth. See, so this thing called America is an idea that has not come to fruition. You're going to have to make it come to fruition. And that includes Africa and Asia, because they all have the same definition. You can't be an African and mistreat someone. You can't be an Asian. A person will say that, oh, I'm from Asia, you know. Yes, I mean, I'm from Central Asia. I'm from, you know, the island of such and such. I mean, in Asia and whatnot. And I'm an Asian. You're not an Asian if you mistreat people. You're just a person that mistreats people. That's all you are. That's what you are. You're not nothing else. All right? So don't come on with that. An African or American, too. You mistreat people. You mistreat anybody. You are not an American, and you are not an African, and you are not an Asian. You don't qualify for any one of those.
Okay.
Yes. So there are three types of people. If we're not those things, what are we on this planet? We're white people, non-white people, and white supremacists. That's what you got on this planet. Those are the three categories. Not African, not American, not Asian. And you can take those, you can take what I just said to the bank, because you can stand behind those words and you can prove it. Logically speaking, you can prove it based on logic. Now, a person that doesn't like logic, they're going to have a problem with it. But you can get the book by going to producejustice.com.
Okay.
We've got to get the words straight first.
Yes, sir.
Before you can solve problems.
Okay. Let's do this. We have about 4 or 5 minutes in this section before we go to the second part of the program. We're speaking about religion in this system of racism, which is white supremacy. Let's go to the caller. Caller, we may have to take you over into the next hour, but go ahead with your question for Mr. Fuller.
Good morning, Bobby. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. As I continue to focus on my mission, I've been observing my environment. I've been noticing just conversations I've been having with people, just regards to the 9 areas of activity. And in my opinion, the conversations go well. We agree upon a lot of different topics, but then someone will say, Jesus is going to come save us. So, and then it baffles me. At that point, I'm just baffled and, shocked, based on our conversations prior. And they thinking that, this white man is coming to save us in this war zone. And I know that it has been embedded in us to believe in this Christian concept. So, Mr. Fuller, do you think that Christianity has caused non-white people to not fully understand the compensatory logic the way that it should be understood?
Well, I won't say that, because that will not get the results that codification is supposed to get. For me to criticize Christianity or Islam or Buddhism or Confucianism or any religion, here is the codified procedure for handling everything when it comes to religion, according to what is in the textbook for victims of racism. 3 questions. You don't make statements about religion other than what religion is. A strong belief backed up by action. If you want to put it in simple terms, that's anybody's religion. A strong belief. First, you believe in something, and you prove you believe in that something by the things that you do. So, it's just 3 questions that I have when I talk about religion. These are the ones that I go to immediately. I don't get into the details of anybody's religion, because I don't know all the details, even of religions that I've been a part of, all right? So, in answer to your question, here is the way to go that's recommended by the code. What is the name of your religion? It's just 3 questions. First of all, what's the name of your religion? Number 2, what does your religion require you to do, sir or ma'am, in all areas of activity? Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. That's other people's religions, that is. Uh-huh. What does your religion require you to do? If you got a religion, you're doing something according to your religion. You have to be. All right? That's number 2. And number 3, what does your religion require you to do when you interact with me in all of those areas of activity? And don't go no further than that. Don't go any further than those 3 questions when you're talking to somebody about religion. Otherwise, you're going to get the one thing that you definitely don't want to have, and that's an argument. Don't argue about religion, ever. Ever. Find yourself in a shouting match or, falling out with somebody about a religious discussion. Just ask those 3 questions and listen for the answers. What is the name of your religion? What does your religion require you to do? That's your religion, so most religions have requirements. And number 3, and this is a real important one, what does your religion require you to do when you interact with me?
Wow. Got to cut it right there. I am so sorry, man, but music is playing. TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio the way it should be heard. We will hear you or see you on the 2nd hour. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. One should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard.
You've got the power. The world's greatest radio. TalkTainmentRadio.com. Talktainment Radio, worldwide sound. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Got the Power Radio, a.k.a. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. Just download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. This is radio the way it should be heard. We are live with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., who is in Washington, D.C. Remember, there will be no live show next week, the 27th, but there will be a replacement or a previous show of Mr. Fuller, so don't call in. I say that, and people still will call in, but I don't think anybody will be here in the studios, but we should return the week after next. 1-877-932 is the number that you can call to be a part of the show. You can also Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY @gmail.com. You can also listen to the show by going to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage and just hit listen live. You're there. YouTube channel, just go to the YouTube channel, type in the word Talktainment, type in the word Talktainment number 2, and then scroll down to radio. You're right there. Hit the subscribe and like button there. And of course, Facebook.com/Talktainment, and you can do that. We're speaking about religion today, the 7th area of people activity. And if you missed the first hour, you might want to go back and play that and get that. Daryl said that when he listens to it on I believe it's YouTube, that some of it is cut out. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's a very informative hour to understand what we're talking about, what Mr. Fuller has. And if you notice, it's always about the book. In particular, he said, even in the last few minutes of the first hour, about what he's written back in 1971. Simply, if you do not understand white supremacy, racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. He says that every single program, but it goes over your head, over a lot of people's head, just like you've got the power. It really goes over people's head. But we're talking about religion today, or Mr. Fuller is talking about religion, and you can call in here. This is a Gmail, Mr. Fuller, from Simon, and he simply says this. Wait a minute, let me get the page here. Mr. Fuller, he was asking, Mr. Fuller, will you make your book into a PDF file? The unemployment rate is over 70%, and access to important truth should not be predicated on money. We need this book. Mr. Fuller, your response, please.
Well, what is that?
What is
I don't know what that is.
He really wanted to know, will you make your book on a PDF file?
I don't know what that is.
All right. Let's look that up here so that we understand what a PDF file is. Let me put that in there. Let me ask Google, what is a PDF file? And then it'll come up and tell me what it is, and we will know. It says, what is a PDF file? It says here, it's an Adobe Acrobat Reader is the official tool for reading PDF file. It's free and available in Windows and Mac OS, iOS, and Android. After installing Acrobat Reader, you'll have to double-click any of the PDF files, but that doesn't say what it is. What is a PDF? Okay, here, we'll use this. It stands for Portable Document Format. Is a file format used to present and exchange documents reliably, independent of software, hardware, or operating system. Invented by Adobe, PDF is now an open standard maintained by the International Organization for Standards, iOS. So it's a portable document format. That's what PDF stands for, is a file format used to present and exchange documents reliably, independent of software or hardware or any other operating system. So I don't know if that would have to do with audiobooks. Someone in the technology field could probably explain that a little more. But anyway, make it available so people can get it in that particular form, which is a portable document form. You know, I don't know if that would be an e-book. Anybody out there that knows that could help me on that and answer Mr. Fuller's question. Did you understand it a little bit, Mr. Fuller?
I don't understand anything about that.
Okay.
So that's something I could have somebody look into.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows about that type of thing?
Mm-hmm. Maybe one.
But anyhow, anybody who wants to put in that information can send that information to producejustice.com about step by step how that's done and what the results are going to be. You know, predictable results of having done it, and what that will mean. Now, I have a book that actually people have told me that I could put it out here electronically and give it away free. But I can't do that because I have financial obligations. See, so if someone is hinting that I could do that, I know that I could do that. I could actually, ask for donations from people and publish a book and give, free copies of the textbook for victims of white supremacy. Because the book that I have out here is costly. Now, that's not my choice to have made it that way, but it just turned out to be that way. That's a pretty stiff price on these textbooks for victims of white supremacy that Neely Fuller has written. This price is stiff. But I do have to have some revenue because I don't have, all these magic ways of whatever somebody might think that I have, I guess, of just having money. In the system of white supremacy, you have to have money. All right? Now, if somebody can figure out a way that I can sustain myself and at the same time have the words that are in my textbook in everybody's hands in the next 15 minutes, oh, yes, I'm all for that. All right? But I can't do both at this particular time. I'd like to get in position where I could do that. Have a free book. Like you go to hotels, you'll find free Bibles right there in the drawer, if they still do that. I would like to have that set up.
Okay.
I'd like to have my book in every hotel drawer. Okay? I mean, the white people, I guess, who believe in white supremacy would immediately throw it out.
Maybe they would. Anybody out there right now, this is an open invitation. If you are technically savvy and can help Mr. Fuller and myself understand a PDF file, call 1-877-932-9766 so that we can, get a clear explanation as to what this is, and perhaps that will help Simon out. Okay, going 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call. 7 Mr. Bobby, BOBBY @gmail.com. You can do that. Speaking about that, Mr. Fuller, this is from Anita, and she says this. Since codification is a tool for solving problems, and since the problems of the world are not solved due to racism and white supremacy, in your opinion, Mr. Fuller, are only the racist white supremacists codified, or are all white people codified? If all white people are codified, then wouldn't it be logical that all white people practice white supremacy, which contributes to the reason why the problems of the world are not solved?
Well, in answer directly to the question, who is a white supremacist and who is not? I think that, if I understand the question correctly. Well, the code says that, and logic, codes based on logic, any person classified as white who is able to be a white supremacist should be suspected of being one. I'm going to say that again. Any white person, any person classified as white on the planet who is able, you have to be able to be a white supremacist, should be suspected expected of being one. Now, that's not a harsh criteria. That's a logical criteria, because everything in counter-racist science, everything in any type of science where you have the correct intentions, and we should all have the correct intentions, should be based on logic. It is logical for me, Neely Fuller, to look out my window and see a person that I think or is classified as white. But I'd have to, a lot of black people look like they're white. So I'd have to check and see if that person is classified as white, functions as white. If that person says that he or she is a white person, all right, that immediately means to Neely Fuller that that person most likely is a white supremacist. Why? Because the white supremacist government is the only government on the planet worthy of the name government. I'm going to say that again. The white supremacist government is the only so-called government on the entire planet worthy of the title of government, because everyone who is non-white caters to that government, either directly or indirectly, in all of the 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. If people are talking about, and this is the subject today, religion, when people talk about religion, everybody suddenly, talk about religion, we suddenly turn around and look for somebody who's white. They got to be white in order to be, if you're going to talk about a supreme religion, okay, because the system of white supremacy is the strongest religion that the world has ever seen. That's the name of it. We don't recognize it as such. We don't call it that, but it is a religion. A religion is a strong belief backed up by action. And the system of white supremacy is a strong belief backed up by action. It's not just people walking around burning incense and whatnot, and speaking in what you might call alien tongues and all like that. Hey, everybody who is non-white hops to the religion of white supremacy, even when they claim they don't. I'm my own master. I don't pay no attention to them white supremacists. Neely Fuller walking around talking about the white supremacists got the strongest religion, and that the name of that religion is the system of white supremacy. Well, I'm a black Buddhist, and I don't do nothing that them white supremacists tell me to do. Okay? Check out your economics, your education, your entertainment, labor, law, politics, your religion in depth, your sex life in depth, and war. Yes. When it comes to war, you're going to beat the white supremacists when it comes to war. They, has anybody yet done that? When the white supremacists get in your face and say, look, you talking about this and talking about that. But like, what was it, Jack Palance in the movie Shane, talking to Tory? Tory called him a low-down lying Yankee. He said, prove it. Hey, I'm a low-down lying Yankee. Okay. All right, you just called in words. Prove it. And Tory, the character in the movie, Shane, he slapped leather and came up short. And Wilson, the professional gunslinger, blew him halfway across that road. I recently saw that movie again for the umpteenth time. That's on the movie list. Okay. That was a lesson. See, people can talk a whole lot of talk, but when they get in the white supremacist face, the white supremacists say, hey, I'll tear up your village in the next 15 minutes. If you don't believe it, try me.
Try me, wow.
I don't care where that village is. That village will be obliterated. My village has been here for 10,000 years. It goes way back. Your village will be nothing but rubble in 5 minutes if the white supremacists say so, and the religion that goes with your village.
Okay. She concluded, she being Miss Taylor, concluded her message or her Gmail with this, Mr. Fuller, quote, "Of all the problems which will have to be faced in the future, in my opinion, the most difficult will be those concerning the treatment of the inferior races of mankind," end of quote. This came from Leonard Darwin, evolutionary biologist and son of Charles Darwin. Okay, before we go into our 15-minute break, at the end of the last hour, at the very end of it, concerning religion, and if somebody asks you a question about religion, you mentioned three things, Mr. Fuller: the name of your religion, the requirements of your religion, and you said most importantly, the third one, what does your religion require you to do when you react,
when you interact with me?
Wait a minute. Let me get that down. Interact.
Yes. In other words, when you see me coming, what does your religion require you to do about me?
Okay.
That's all I want to know. Three things. Your religion has a name. I just want to know the name of your religion. Okay. Because, I might be able to recognize that I've heard about it before or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or maybe I've never heard about it. So you can tell me about it. How it got that name, what the name means, and all like that. Then the next thing, number 2, what does your religion require you to do? Most people that I have encountered, they say, well, my religion requires me to go to church on Saturday, not on Sunday. All right? And I say, oh, okay. I mean, usually people have, Sunday is a religious holiday for Christians and whatnot. And say, well, I'm a Christian, but I'm not that type of Christian. I'm a Christian. We have our ceremonies on Saturday rather than Sunday. All right? Okay, and then another person might say, well, my religion is Judaism. All right? Well, your religion is Judaism, and so that's the name of your religion? Yes, that's the name of my religion, Judaism. Well, under Judaism, what does Judaism require you, sir or ma'am, to do in all 9 areas of activity? So I'll know what to expect when I see you, in the field of economics. What does your religion require you to do? Money handling and whatnot. Finance. That's a part of economics. Or how you use your time and energy, which is basic economics, as a person who practices Judaism. And what does your religion require you to do in the field of education? How much information do you try to acquire? And what do you do with the information? I might have 1,000 questions just about education alone in the area, according to your religion, sir or ma'am, of Judaism. What does your religion require you to do when it comes to entertainment? There's certain ways that you entertain yourself and certain ways that you absolutely will not entertain yourself or allow anybody to entertain themselves around you. In the field of entertainment. What are the rules? Do's and don'ts. Mm-hmm. That's what religions require, do's and don'ts. That's what we're talking here, okay? And last but not least, what does your religion, sir or ma'am, of Judaism require you to do when you interact with me? Because I may not be of the same person of your religion. So what does your religion require you to do when you interact with me in all of those areas of activity? So I'll know exactly what to expect of you each and every day. If I work alongside you, I know whether or not you're going to hit me upside the head at 12 o'clock. Why? Because your religion says whoever's sitting next to you at 12 o'clock every day, if they are not of your religion, you hit them upside the head. That might be your religion. Some so-called primitive religions might require that. Well, I want to know that. So I'll just make sure that I'm not sitting beside you at 12 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm going to get hit. Because your religion requires you to do that. I mean, no problem. I just want to know. But see, if you're vague about your religion, and this is a part of the code too, anybody that you ask, they tell you about their religion, and you ask them the name of their religion and what their religion requires them to do, and what their religion requires them to do when they come around you, and they are vague about it, they can't tell you about it when they were willing to tell you what the name of it was, look out. You're in danger.
Okay. Talktainmentradio.com is a 24/7, no-charge, worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. And here's three I'm going to share with you. Don Carina, Your Time to Travel, and Wiggins' World of Wellness. Now, these shows are all exclusive to TalkTainmentRadio.com, and of course, all you have to do is go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage, also called You Got the Power Radio. Look at those shows and all the other programming that Talktainment Radio has listed, and give them a sample to see if you like it or if you don't. That's all you have to do. It's real simple. All that from TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Fuller is breaking down religion, what it is, how it works, the do's and don'ts, to make it clear, make it plain, as a documentary for Malcolm X, make it plain, so that you can understand who and what you are dealing with. 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call to get in contact, a direct line to the show, or you can Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. This comes from overseas, England, from Mr. Mackin. Says this, Mr. Fuller, I am currently reading Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler, and I came across a useful passage which reads as follows, quoting, the Jews were responsible for bringing Negroes into the Rhineland with the ultimate idea of bastardizing the white race, which they hate, and thus lowering its culture and political levels so that the Jews might dominate. In light of this, end of quote, in light of this passage, Mr. Fuller, could you please talk about the following? Number one, how the white supremacists continuously argue amongst themselves about which ideology of white supremacy should rule over non-white people. He has a couple of them here, but that was the first one. How the white supremacists continually argue amongst themselves about which ideology of white supremacy should rule over non-white people. Mr. Fuller?
And I want to make it real clear in my mind about what this question is. How do...
It says, how the white supremacists continually argue amongst themselves about which ideology of white supremacy should rule over non-white people.
And how do they do that?
That's what he's asking.
Oh, they do that all the time. They have always done that. White supremacists always argue among themselves about how to handle the help, you might say. It's just like a couple of brothers running a grocery store. And Sam, who is black, he sweeps up the floor. Mm-hmm. He's the janitor there. So they get in arguments all the time. I'm talking about how white supremacy works. Now, two white men running a grocery store. And they hired a guy named Sam, and Sam is black. Sam is the janitor. I'm going to try to make it simple.
Okay.
So Sam is back in the back of the store stacking up stuff and sweeping up and doing whatever janitors do. All right? And the two brothers who own the store and who run the store, they're arguing about how much work Sam should be doing. And one brother says, well, look, I want Sam to go back there and stack those boxes. And the other brother says, no, Sam is supposed to be up here helping me because I'm arranging, I'm rearranging the stuff that we got up here in front of the store. So I don't want him stacking the boxes back here. I mean, he can do that, on overtime. We'll pay him overtime, but, but right now I want him up here in front of the store. He's got to be helping me. So they get in a big shouting match about it. All right? Next thing you know, they're fighting. I mean, these are two brothers. They're out there in the middle of the street in front of their store. And people say, who are those people fighting out there in front of that guy's store? They're the two brothers that run the store. They fighting right there in front of their own store. And Sam's standing there with the broom in his hand just watching the fight, like we do. Okay? I mean, the so-called Civil War, that's what that was. That was white people going at white people like you wouldn't believe. You talk about bloodshed. Huge amounts of bloodshed. All right? They have reenactments of that. Going, dressed up just like the people did at that time. Every year. And go out and reenact this battle and that battle and whatnot. These are all white people fighting each other. About what? How they going to handle the help? Poor Sam. Neely full of Sam. Standing over there to the side, broom in hand, waiting on them to figure out how they're going to best kick me around from one end of that store to the other. It ain't nothing new.
Ain't nothing new. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead on and ask this question. And caller, I'm going to take you after the break here. Here's a question here, Mr. Fuller, the third of three questions. So far you only answered one. He says on pages 180 and 181 of the Word Guide, why do you advise non-white people to exercise caution when using the words Jew or Jewish?
Say that again.
Says on pages 180 and 181 of the Word Guide, why do you advise non-white people to exercise caution when using the words Jew or Jewish?
Because it's controversial. Like this whole conversation this morning. Hey, you better be real careful when you tread into that water if you're a person of color. All right? I have found, but from observation, you be real careful. And then another thing, you don't even talk about the Jewish religion except like what I've done down through the years. I say, if you want to talk about Jews, if you want to say anything about Jews, the best person to talk to about Jews is a person who says that he or she is a Jew.
Speaking about the do's and don'ts or what not to do, concerning page 180 and 181 about the Jews, what not to do and what to do before we go to the caller.
Well, I'm not looking at the pages right now, but I'm going to say this about religion, like I started off. What is a religion? We've got to get it straight in our minds about what a religion is. A religion is a strong belief backed up by action. Now, having said that, according to all the evidence, the most powerful religion that the world has ever seen is not Christianity, not Islam, not Buddhism, not Judaism, not Confucianism. The most powerful religion here in 2019 is, in capital letters, the religion of white supremacy. That's a strong belief backed up by action all the way. The white supremacists do not cut corners. A lot of people of their different religions, and like right now, and as far back as I can remember, with the little familiarity I have with what is called Christianity, it has evolved. I mean, you got different churches with different names, St. Matthew's, and then you got the Mormons who will say, oh, no, we're not the same as the Episcopalians. The Episcopalians are this, they're different from us. And then the Catholics will say, oh, no, this is the Catholic group. This is the Catholic. This is Christianity in Catholicism. And we're not Presbyterians. Don't get us mixed up with Presbyterians. We are Catholics.
Okay.
Don't say that Catholics and Presbyterians are the same. So there's confusion there. All right? So in order to get rid of the confusion, how do you get rid of confusion? By asking questions.
Yes,
and
sir.
what are the questions? What is the name of your religion? What does your religion require you to do? If it has any rules at all, there might be some religions out there. I have a religion. My religion doesn't have any rules. I mean, do you have any strong beliefs? Oh, yeah, I have strong beliefs, but that's not a part of my religion. Well, you ask the question, and that's the answers you get. Don't argue about the answers that you get from a person who gives you what their religion is. You are asking them.
Okay.
And so, therefore, there shouldn't be any confusion there. But the main thing, and this is what the code is all about. The code is about not saying anything about anybody's religion other than one religion. That's the religion of white supremacy.
Okay.
That's what this entire book is about. We're not against Christianity, not against Judaism, not against Islam, and all the different divisions of Islam, which, I'm just recently finding out about all the, how many different divisions there are. They say they are Shiites, Muslims, and they're Sunni Muslims, and that they are not the same. Well, on and on and on.
Yes, sir.
I don't get it. You don't get into arguments about that unless you are a Shiite or a Sunni or something like that.
Okay.
But the position of the victims of white supremacy is that we are trying to replace the system of white supremacy, that onerous religion, with justice. And we make no half-stepping about that. That's what we're about.
Okay.
We're not about any other religion except the religion of white supremacy.
Okay.
That's what we should focus on.
Just to be clear for Mr. Mackin from England, and he referenced page 180 and 181 in the Word Guide, you had written under Jew, you said, use this word with caution. When others use it, ask for a detailed explanation that you can easily understand. Always ask these questions and seek the answers from a person who says that he or she is a Jew. And then under Jewish, you wrote this: use this word with caution. When others use the word Jewish, ask for a detailed explanation that you can easily understand. If a person describes him or herself as Jewish, ask what the word means and what you can expect him or her to do or not do in regards to your interactions with him or her in all areas of activity. Ask questions. What exactly is Jewish? What exactly is not Jewish? That was on page 180 and 181 of the Word Guide. Mr. Mackin, I will ask Mr. Fuller your third question at a later date. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, thank you for waiting. You've been patient. What is your question for Mr. Fuller?
Well, good morning, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller. This is Mansour Celestin from D.C., and I'm still learning. I have some information about what a PDF file is to make it clearer to you. Okay. And I also have a question to Mr. Fuller to ask as well.
Go ahead.
But a PDF file is just a way for people to be able to read books on cell phones, computers, and every other mobile device that most people have today. Cell phones and computers are more popular than physical books are today, so making the code available as a PDF file can make it more available to more people to read in 2019 and beyond. But I think anyone who understands the importance of the code wouldn't mind purchasing the physical book for $30 because they would only have to save $1 a day per month to purchase it. I purchased a copy about 7 months ago, and I will order the Word Guide right after today's broadcast.
Okay. Now, wait a minute. Hold tight before you ask a question. Mr. Fuller, did you understand what the gentleman was saying?
Well, I understood some of it except the revenue part.
Okay.
People can still pay for the book if you make it a PDF file. They can still purchase the book from your website at producejustice.com. You would just have to have someone to set that up for you. I personally don't know how to set it up. I was just explaining maybe someone who is working on the website can make it available. But a PDF file just makes it available for the average person who has a phone in their pocket or uses a computer on a daily basis to be able to take the book, the code book, wherever they go.
Okay. All right. Now, what's your question, sir? Go ahead.
Thank you. And my question to you, Mr. Fuller, is can you explain again why black people should not follow a specific leader, group, or organization? Because there's a growing political organization called ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, that many black people are now following instead of following their own logic, as if it is the new religion for black people in America.
Oh, well, now, I think I certainly don't want to send a message that black people shouldn't join organizations. No, I'm not saying that at all. I mean, hey, I'd be spoiling for a big fight because, there are millions of black people who say we got to get organized, okay? But I'm saying for black people who are already members of organizations, just take the textbook for victims of white supremacy with you. That's all, wherever you happen to be on the planet. Being a member of an organization, but the code book itself should not be used to form an organization. That's why it's called a compensatory code. It's for the individual person wherever he or she happens to be. You can be in this organization or that organization or no organization, like a lot of black people say that they are not, but you're all subject to the system of white supremacy if you are a person of color. Black, brown, red, yellow, tan, beige, non-white. If you're a person classified as non-white, either directly or indirectly, functionally, then the textbook for victims of white supremacy is, by your own selection, for you. And you can join organizations, just take the book with you. If you're going to school, if you're a student, take the book with you. If you're a member of a religion, take the book with you. But don't do anything that the book says you should do or can do or suggests that you do if it's against your religion. Because then your religion will not be your religion. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. Don't do anything in the textbook for victims of white supremacy that's contrary to what your religion is. Because if you do that, you're not practicing your religion. Always practice your religion to the hilt. Whatever your religion requires you to do, people should, when they are around you, should expect you to do everything that's in your religion. And if you can't practice what is in your religion, you need another religion. Because you're confusing people. Mm-hmm. And the code definitely is against anything that causes confusion.
Yes, sir.
The world is torn apart right now on account of that one word, confusion. And what does it say in the front of the textbook for victims? If you don't understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will what?
Only confuse
you.
Yeah.
Only confuse.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Caller, before you go, please, and thank you for holding, could you explain, or one more time, for those that don't know what a PDF file is, could you explain? I like the way you did that. Before we let you go, could you just explain that briefly there?
I will, and I also want to say quickly, congratulations on becoming the #1 program on Talktainment Radio. you, Mr. Bobby, and Mr. Fuller, of course, your work has a constructive effect, and I hope you can and will continue.
Right.
But for a PDF file, one more time, is just a way for people to be able to read books on cell phones, computers, and every other mobile device that most people have in their pocket today. Cell phones and computers are the more popular than physical books are today. So making the code available as a PDF file can make it more available to more people to read in 2019 and beyond.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for calling in with that explanation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay. Talktainmentradio.com is, let me see, get the page here. There, okay. We go where you go. Just download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. My name is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller hiding behind this mic. Sorry about that, Galen. But it is at this time that we have Mr. Fuller speak about his book. Here is 10:50, so I'll try to make it so we can get to this last caller. But Mr. Fuller, go ahead and speak to your book.
Yes, the book is about ending white supremacy and replacing it with a system of justice and ultimately correctness. That's a word that I haven't been using very much on the program, but it's in the textbook for victims of white supremacy that you can get by going to producejustice.com. We're trying to replace the system of white supremacy, the strongest, most powerful political and religious system ever conceived in the minds of the people of the known universe in recorded history. Now, before recorded history, there might have been something more powerful than the system of white supremacy, a religion or a government more powerful. But in recorded history, the evidence shows there's no system of government, political system, and no religious system that's proven to be more powerful than the system of white supremacy. It's a terrible system that's running the entire world, and it should be replaced with a better system. And what would that better system? Conceptually, if you have a concept of a better system than the system of white supremacy, the system of white supremacy accomplishes a lot of material things. It does. But it wipes out whole populations of people. It's very destructive of people, but it accomplishes a lot of things, all right? As far as technology and all like that, nothing beats the system of white supremacy so far, okay? But you can accomplish the same thing without mistreating people, because the system of white supremacy is designed to mistreat people in the process of producing all sorts of wonderful things, which it does. But there's just too many people lying dead on the factory floor, you might say, if you want to use a metaphor. So that system needs to be replaced. The textbook for victims of white supremacy is to help the individual person to think, speak, and act on a daily basis in such a way that you're inside of the system, but you are eroding the system. See, that's what you're doing when you follow counter-racist codification. Presumably, hopefully,
yes, sir,
you are eroding the system of white supremacy so you can replace it with a system of justice, which means that nobody's mistreated, but things are accomplished. And you want correctness also. Correctness means being balanced with all the other things, the trees, the water, the grass, your environment. Because if your environment is not corrected, then you're not going to get corrected. You're going to be just as incorrect as your environment.
Yes,
so you want the environment corrected too, because the white supremacists apparently don't care anything about the environment either, along with people.
Yes, sir. Yes,
they are kind of anti-life, really. They love killing. They like to see things dead. And that's why black people run around killing each other all the time. Because we've come up under the system of white supremacy that glorifies death. Everything that you see on television is all about murder and war and getting another war going and glorifying war. And the heroes are all people with swords in their hands. All right? What about making a hero out of somebody who's trying to help somebody do something constructive?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's building a house, you know?
Yes.
You got a saw in your hand, but you're sawing wood rather than sawing somebody's head off and then paying a whole lot of money to go to see a movie about somebody who's good at sawing somebody's head off.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the kind of world we should be in. That's an insult to the creator of this universe.
Yes.
All of it.
Still learning.
Yes. Get rid of the system of white supremacy, the textbook for victims of white supremacy.
Okay.
That's what that book is about. That's all it's about. And replace it with something better.
ProduceJustice.com.
ProduceJustice.com.
Okay. Before I take the caller, I want to agree with you, Mr. Fuller, because on the still learning point, I've been looking at that statue of the Oscars for many years. But when you pointed out that there was a sword on the right or left hand of that Oscar, I could not believe it and examined it under a microscope. And sure enough, there was a sword. I had
sword? Why a sword?
Yes.
You know, why is Oscar, you know, when you walk out on the stage and you say, I got an Oscar for I was the best actor or the best actress in this wonderful movie that everybody should go and see. And here's my Oscar. I'm going to hold it up so everybody can see it. And I'm going to put it in a prized place on my mantelpiece or something, or in my Malibu estate, or somewhere in England or wherever. I mean, you know, I got an Oscar, okay? And Oscar doesn't have on any clothes. And the one thing that Oscar does have is a sword. What in the world? Who thought that up? It goes to show you the mentality of somebody. Yes. Now, it might have been a program. I mean, you won an Oscar for a movie about the wonderful attributes of Christianity. It was a Christian movie, the greatest Christian movie ever made. And you walk across the stage and get a trophy with a sword. Well, I guess that kind of corresponds with the cross, too. I mean,
I guess so.
That's another story, too.
Okay.
I mean, hey, why should the cross be the symbol of Christianity? I mean, you know, that's not very inspiring.
Okay, let's go to the caller. Caller, go ahead. You're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Mr. Fuller. Just real quick, I've listened to a lecture of yours numerous times now, and you were speaking on are white people evil, and your answer was you don't know, and you spoke on how you used to listen to Elijah Muhammad, and you know, you would listen, but I guess my question is, is there a new stance to that? Is it still you don't know, or?
Are white people evil?
Yes.
I don't know.
Did a speech on that.
Am I evil? I don't know. I might be evil. Neely Fuller might be evil. All right. I don't know. See, all of this is yet to be proven. This is just my opinion about who's evil, I mean, in essence, and who isn't. I know people do all kinds of things that they shouldn't do. I know that everybody is loaded with flaws. I do believe that. Now, if you ask me a direct question, everybody I've ever heard of and everybody who I see, I suspect, is loaded with flaws. Why? Because the whole world is flawed. If we come up with somebody who doesn't have flaws, then that person will have such an impact on everybody who has flaws, because something that has flaws is always weaker than something that doesn't have flaws. Mm-hmm. So whomever that person would be, that person just by self-evidence would just, everything in the world would just be like it ought to be instantly.
Got to leave it there, Mr. Fuller. Got to leave it there, caller. Hey, listen, thanks for blowing up my phone, for listening to the program. You guys have been completely marvelous. I got the information. I got the figures right here in front of my face. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Thank you, callers. TalkTameRadio.com, the world's greatest radio the way it should be heard. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
I want to thank all the listeners, too. Yes, sir.
Thanks for listening to the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTameRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. One should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard.
You've got the power. The world's greatest radio. TalkTameRadio.com.